My mother-in-law is a good old-fashioned Southern lady born and raised in Alabama. She has a strong Republican ideology and is a fierce, opinionated defender of her values and beliefs. She has come to me several times with news reports she reads on Facebook about outrageous matters that are simply not true, but she insists them to be since they come from a reliable source. Thanks to the rise of the internet, freedom of speech makes it easier for individuals to spread false information and lies as long as they are not inciting things such as blackmail, making threats, inciting violence, and things as such. Such information targets population with limited knowledge of the topic being addressed, making it easier to influence their opinion, and in extreme circumstances, radicalizes their opinion to the extent that they commit hateful crimes. Given how sensitive this matter is, I have attempted to read material from both sides, those in favor of allowing government involvement and those who do not support it, and I can confidently conclude and give an educated opinion as to why I believe it is better for the government to not have such power through the process, but should instead be involved more as an advisor and not as a final decision maker. Freedom of speech basically gives you the right to criticize whoever and whatever you want if you respect the previously stated limits. But where is the line drawn? When is it too much? The terms of freedom of speech in the US have interested me ever since I heard that students were protesting extremist speaker Richard B. Spencer from being allowed to talk in the University of Florida about his hateful and divisive ideologies. Even the university's president posted a YouTube video urging students to stay away from his event. How can someone make homophobic, racist, or mean-spirited comments with intent to influence his listeners' belief as long as he does not incite the crowd to commit a crime and have it be perfectly legal? Knowing that the government is about to overpower college authority from deciding if they will allow or deny some individuals seems outrageous, and we must not tolerate young minds in development to be exposed to such talks. We must not let the government limit our educators from safeguarding us from exposure to such hate-inciting words. One of my biggest issues is that, according to a summary made by the Texas Tribune, Senate Bill 18 would require universities to allow any person to engage in free speech activities on campus, create disciplinary sanctions for students who interfere with the free speech activities of others, and establish a process for addressing complaints of potential free speech violations. Now, with my opinion, I do not mean to say that I do not want views different to mine to be displayed, but do not take away the university's decision-making abilities away. Instead, I propose that a committee with government officials and the college's administrators is created so they have an opportunity to address speakers scheduled within an established time frame. They will listen to the administrator's reasons for allowing or not the individuals in their college grounds before reaching a decision, while also allowing government officials to give their input. If an agreement that pleases both parties is reached and the speaker is allowed to share their message, students' interference with the free speech activities like protesting should not be punished. What will this committee discuss and consider as reasonable concerns to refrain or allow speakers to share their message within college campuses? Freedom of speech isn't exactly free. Universities and the government incurring costs to provide safety and maintain order within both the speech setting and the protesters' demonstration area. If a scheduled speaker is well known and has been well advertised, protesters will be more likely to show up and reject their presence. Ben Shapiro at UC Berkeley cost the University of Berkeley around 600,000 just to provide security. If the cost is absorbed solely by the university, it is not fair that they are imposed by the government to allow him to speak. The bill proposes to create disciplinary sanctions for students who interfere with the free speech activities of others. I believe setting guidelines as to what will be done with such students is wrong, since speakers can use the threat of discipline to those who speak out against them. The point is not that there should be no set lines or consequences for disrupting the activities, but that given government's involvement, these decisions might be clouded by the college's administrators that have a desire to place legislators or that might of the offense or might have a political incentive. The committee could be used to determine the level of the offense committed and find common ground as to what the repercussions should be. The bill would also allow required universities to establish all common outdoor areas as traditional public forums and allow anyone to exercise free speech there. Some universities are currently only allowing campus-affiliated individuals to practice free speech activities there. Granted, it gives everyone an opportunity to exercise their right to protest or support the speaker, it could imply other repercussions. Radicalized individuals could enter previously restricted areas and vandalize or assault students that might or might not be participating in the events. There is, of course, so much more to cover, but those are some of the most relevant proposals of the law to me that could define if it all goes smooth or it becomes an issue. Just by addressing the possible outcomes and establishing terms where both sides agree or concede to agree could avoid bigger issues in the long run. Students could freely exercise their right to protest in a secure environment, and supporters of the speaker can feel at ease that all precautions were taken to ensure that regardless of the message shared, they will be able to go in and out unharmed. Now, can you imagine a peaceful protest during a hate-filled speech? I certainly can't given the nature of the speech, but one can only try to make the best out of a bad situation. Now, regardless if you agree with my point of view or not, I encourage every one of you to read more into the matter since it is a topic that affects us as students. We might be a part of a small community college and we might not get as polemical figures like Spencer or Shapiro, but we will be exposed to individuals with different ideas as ours at some point. Educating ourselves and yourself will allow you to make your own judgment of this bill, and knowing will allow you to defend and exercise your rights to be for or against it. Fake news article will probably never disappear as long as we have the internet, and people that wish to keep sharing racially insensitive, homophobic, and hate-filled messages will exist. But at the very least, you did your part and educated yourself. You did not allow a third party to tell you what you should believe in, and your level of maturity towards the subject could be viewed as an example to somebody else that decides to have you as a role model and collaterally decides to learn about the matter too. Thank you. Come in the picture. You come in the picture.
Everybody?
Yeah, you too.
Why?
Just come in the picture so they see that there was an audience.